Are you a business owner looking for real advice and input? You're in the right place. From concept to launch to growth, funding, and beyond. Welcome to Startup Hustle with your hosts. One once sold a business for $150 million. The other, the author of $1 Million Bedroom. Here are your hosts of Startup Hustle, Matt DeCoursey and Matt Watson.
And we're back. Another episode of Startup Hustle. Matt DeCoursey here with Matt Watson. Hi, Matt.
Did you miss me?
I didn't notice you were gone.
You never do.
Oh, come on now. Come on now. There's a lot of ways to try to keep track of a lot of different people and things, but, you know, we're going to talk about some of that stuff. But, you know, I'm pretty excited today just because we have a guest that has done some really cool stuff, but really in the end, you know, here in Kansas City, and know so many of our listeners aren't from Kansas City. I mean, the first exposure I had to today's guest was hearing people yell, "Touchdown, Chiefs."
You sure it wasn't fumble?
No, well, maybe, was it? Let me introduce Kevin Lockett, who is currently the CFO and partner at Fulcrum Global Capital. Hi, Kevin.
How are you?
Good, man. Watson, you would fumble.
Was it fumble or touchdown?
It was always touchdown.
All right.
Yeah. So, Kevin, you are from here, or at least are now, K-State history. Played football there, and later for the Chiefs.
Where did you grow up at?
So I grew up in Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
close.
Where at?
Grew up in Tulsa.
Okay. All right. Me
And
too. Oklahoma.
After going to K-State, then coming from K-State, coming to Kansas City.
Yeah.
And I've spent probably almost half my life in Kansas, so even though I'm not from Kansas, I
you are
consider
now.
myself a native.
Yeah, you're from Kansas now.
So why didn't you play college ball in Oklahoma State?
Well, so when I came out of high school, Oklahoma was just kind of coming out of the wishbone.
Okay.
And I played wide receiver.
Okay.
And
so
not a whole lot of passing
I
in
was
that offense.
smart enough
yeah.
at 18
Yeah.
to know, well, if you want to catch passes, you probably don't
Yeah.
want to go.
Was
Okay.
that like Jamel Holloway? Was that his name?
It was
Or
a
like
little
in
bit
that?
behind
Yeah,
Jamel's
okay.
group, but they were just doing that transition where they were kind of coming out of the
Yeah.
wishbone and they were trying to figure themselves out. And I thought, not a good place to go if you want to catch a
Maybe
bunch
not.
of balls.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's
Very cool.
good career decisions. Sometimes determining your path and like who you're going to go and who you're going to partner with is important, especially when starting a business. Kevin, you and this fund that you and Fulcrum Global Capital, well, it's also got some topics that are near and dear to those of us in the Midwest. You guys specialize or will specialize in agricultural technology and funding it, right?
Yep, that's right. So the three of us that are partners, we've been together about 5 years now, maybe almost 6. And our fund focuses on ag tech, and also on animal health. And so we did our first close in January. We'll do our final close here at the end of August. But we've already made 4 investments.
Nice.
So we are super excited about our fund.
You know, there's something that, we were talking about, and we can revisit here, but the importance of ag tech, and we've had a lot of topics recently about venture capital and raising capital, but it's well known that 80% of venture capital money ends up in 3 different areas, which is the Valley, as we'll call it, Boston and New York. But as far as agriculture goes, that's what we do here in the middle of the country. So regardless of where that money goes, this is really some of the best place to develop and implement this technology, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, the companies we invest in will be global. That's part of why we put global in our name. We're not tied to any specific geographic kind of region or location. Most of our investments will be North American companies. But when you talk about ag in general, it is a global issue.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about feeding the world and technologies that can help accelerate that, they have a place everywhere, not just in, let's call it, the middle of the U.S. And so that's kind of our view. And so even when we invest in companies that are either not North American based or are on the coast like you talk about, the implementation of those technologies tends to be, when you talk about from a U.S. perspective, right here in the Midwest. And so we're based here because we know the farmers, if you will.
Yeah.
When you look at our investor base for our fund, almost all of them are producers. And so we are where sort of the rubber meets the road in terms of those who actually have to adopt the technology. I think we that we understand very well what they're looking for, and so that helps us or gives us an advantage as we talk about what deals we want to do and what technologies to invest in.
So what kind of companies are you looking at? Is this going to be stuff that's like technical, like software or bioscience or pharmaceutical, or like what all sorts of things are we talking about?
All of the above. I mean,
Anything
really,
to do with agriculture.
anything to do with ag and animal
Has
health.
to do with a better combine, you're in.
Okay, I would imagine, but also some of the
All right.
some of the needs as well. You have everything from like water,
That's right.
like water tech, like because it's hard to grow crops when
Yeah.
there's no water, man, and recycle bin or something when you might have a plastic bottle. Like they're just very conditioned to putting their extra food in these things. And I know you're talking more about producing it, but some of that stuff is very repurposable. And I don't know, man, they turn it into
composting it?
Sure, something. It's better than just tossing it out. But it frightens me when I see the numbers, the estimates of the amount of food that we just waste and throw away.
Unbelievable.
So I don't think most people go from the NFL into bioscience. Is that fair?
That's fair to say.
So with that path on the way to it, after you you played for the Chiefs, the Redskins, the Jaguars, and the Jets.
That's right.
And then
So who's your favorite team?
Kansas City.
Okay.
Gotta be.
All right.
I was going to say. Talk about ending the show early. Yeah. Hang on, I'm turning the sign red.
Who did you get drafted by?
I got drafted by Kansas City.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah. So, after that, and so recently we had Chris in from Athlete Network. Do you know Chris?
Mm-hmm.
So, talking about what athletes do afterward, some of that. I think it's pretty awesome. We have a lot of friends there. According to my notes here, you spent 10 years with the Kauffman Foundation.
That's right.
So talk a little bit about that and how that led to what you were doing later with bioscience and different stuff like that. Because the Kauffman, for those of you listening that aren't in Kansas City, Kauffman Foundation offers mentoring and different stuff, a lot of support. Like our friend Laurel Holt, we went down and helped him create
It's the largest foundation in the world dedicated to entrepreneurship, right?
It's the largest in the world?
In the world, yep.
Dang. All right. Well, let's hear more about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my path is obviously quite interesting. When I graduated from K-State, I graduated in accounting and finance, so I've sort of been a numbers guy forever. But during my playing career, I think one of the things that I noticed was exactly what Chris and his company are trying to solve is this issue of players who believe that the game will last forever.
Right.
And then when the transition time comes, they are completely confused at what next steps look like. And so for me, I probably fit into the same category as every other athlete until about year 5 was the first year that I got released. And sort of got released mid-season. It was a complete shock. It was out of nowhere. And so for me, that's really what got the wheels spinning in terms of, hey, wait, what am I actually going to do next? When I was here in Kansas City, I'd always been interested in sort of controlling my own future. So my 3rd year here, me and my business partner, we opened up a sports bar. So that was sort of my first foray into owning something. It is not an industry that typically people do very well in. We actually did extremely well. Ours got rolled up and sold to a private equity group, and so for me at 26, I thought, whoa.
What was it called? Where was it at?
It was called Rusty's Last Chance. It was on 75th and right off of 35 Highway. But then there were 3 more in Manhattan, Kansas.
Okay.
And so my partner was from Manhattan, and so he had owned Lucky's and a couple other bars that were down in the Manhattan area.
So at this point, you're thinking, man, this is pretty easy.
Well, when I'm in my 3rd year and I make more in the sports bar than I do playing, I'm thinking, oh, this is pretty cool. Is
that what happened?
That's exactly how
it wow.
worked. And so I left here in free agency. And so it was my 5th year when I was in Washington when I got released. And so I was out of the game for a few weeks before I got picked up and went down to Jacksonville. But that started the idea of, okay, wait, what's next? And so at that point, a really good friend of mine introduced me to a guy named Bob Lighton and Daryl Williams. Bob was the VP of entrepreneurship at the Kauffman Foundation. And they were they were at the very beginning of trying to work on entrepreneurship programs that were specifically for what they termed the minority population. And so it was minority by race, it was minority by gender, and they were just trying to figure out what can we do to sort of help this population. And so I started doing some consulting for them in my 6th year while I was playing. And so while we would play on Sunday and most people would sort of kick their feet up until Wednesday when we came back, I'd fly out Monday, I'd come to Kansas City, I'd work here Monday, I'd work here Tuesday, I'd fly back Wednesday morning, and then I'd start the football deal back on Wednesday. So I did that for the last 18 months of my career. And so when I retired after my 7th year in New York, I moved back, my wife and I moved back to Kansas City. I went to work full-time at the foundation. And most of my work there was either in the angel financing space or it eventually led to we ran an in-house management consulting practice where we primarily dealt with African American, Hispanic business, women-owned businesses, and not just in Kansas City, it was sort of all over the country. So when I left there, we had about 8 different offices. We were working with about 300 to 400 different entrepreneurs a year all over the country. And so I left there and went to Kansas Bioscience Authority, and that's where the ag piece came in.
Gotcha.
So again, I was always accounting finance, so I was CFO of that organization that did the management consulting. When I got to KBA, I was the CFO and COO over there, and so we were doing venture on behalf of the state of Kansas. So our sole LP was the state of Kansas, and so they would provide a certain amount of money every year. We would make venture investments into the ag, animal health, and
so you got a lot of experience with this.
Yeah, and so that's how I got into venture. And so you asked me earlier, am I an expert in ag? Absolutely not. Anyone knows me would say that, but I think I know enough to be deadly, and I know what to look for, if you will.
Well, and some of that's structural, though. Like, I mean, just meaning like a good business exists on particular foundations and has certain things about it.
Right.
You know, and it makes, I think that, and it's easy when you first get into entrepreneurship to like, well, you talk about like the sports bar and you're 27. Like, would you do that again?
No.
Because it's a tough business.
It is.
Like, and you know, when you're telling the story and you're just like, yeah, we did really well. I mean, I could give you like 19 other people out of 20 that tanked hard.
I can't tell you how many people within the organization, when they found out I was doing it, sort of grabbed me and were like, don't get out if you can.
Well, that's actually, I've seen a lot of people, meaning like, I don't know, it's, so, you know, like, in sports, you'll often see like the athletes want to be the rock stars want to be the athletes.
Right.
Like everyone wants to be a player at doing this or doing that. But one of the things that, And it's pretty well documented that, you know, some athletes just don't retain their earnings very well, but a lot of it's driven by bad investment.
Well, I mean, you just saw the story about Adrian Peterson pop up the other day.
I saw that. I didn't look into it, but man, I mean,
made $100 million plus in his career, and he's, you know, in
broke.
debt. You know, how does that happen?
How does that happen? That's that would be a completely different episode. I mean, I think you look at, a couple of the boxers like Evander Holyfield.
Right.
Dude made $400 million.
Doesn't Mayweather have problems too?
No,
he makes a lot of money.
He's still making
a lot of money.
He's still making
a lot of money.
He's still making money. Good advice that professional athletes, and probably, I mean, college athletes as well, need to try to get some exposure to what the next things could be.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because I think that's absolutely right. And so my oldest son, we were talking about this a little bit off air before we started, but so my oldest son currently plays for Seattle. And so he's going into his 5th year, and that's exactly what we've done. So what we've done with his foundation is he started a job shadow / internship program, because he's got about 10 sponsors that he works with. So Pizza Hut, Pepsi, CenturyLink, Microsoft, all these companies that he does commercials and all this stuff with. But what he's done is he started a internship kind of job shadow program where he says, hey, look, each of you have to agree that you're going to take 2 or 3 kids a year from my hometown. You're going to fly them up. They're going to sort of job shadow all the different areas for 3 or 4 days, sort of on your dime. And so every year now, 30, 40 kids that don't get that exposure now get exposed to, finance or accounting or IT or all these different areas within all these big corporations that they're normally consumers of. But that's exactly why. It's the idea of let's provide exposure, and then let's let them dream and decide what they want to do next.
You know, that's the hardest part. We think about our kids in middle school and high school, and we're like, what do you want to do when you grow up? There's like thousands and thousands of jobs out there that they have no concept of. They're like, right. I want to be an astronaut or a firefighter.
Or an
like,
Instagram model.
It's like,
or whatever.
It's a very small number of things. It's not like, oh, I want to be a CFO of a venture fund that invests in bioscience companies. Right. Like, that's not on the list.
Right.
But there are like thousands and thousands of different jobs out there. So that's great.
Yeah.
Opening people's eyes. Open kids' eyes to all these different things, career opportunities.
Yeah, a lot of the kids that have participated, at least thus far in the program, are athletes, right? And so they all grow up and say, well, I want to be an athlete, right? It's simple. But the most recent cohort, they were doing a job shadow at the Seattle Seahawks. That's who actually did it. And what they came out and found was, okay, wait, there's another 80 jobs just at the Seahawks that are around sports.
Yeah.
That if I'm not a player and I don't make it, wait, I can still be around it and be.
I'm gonna be on the grounds crew.
Right.
I'm gonna
well,
take
that's
tickets.
an example. And this will come out after, but my 3rd book, dude, it's about the music industry. It's not about being a rock star. Well, I mean, some of it is. But I worked in the music industry for 8 years. Like, so many of the things that you see the surface of are like an iceberg. You see the tip. And like for football, it's like we got the guys that are on the field.
Right.
But I mean, for the number of employees the Chiefs have, the smaller number is the roster.
Yeah. The 57
so
players.
So where do you go with that? And I think some of that's getting that set up. I know that when Chris was here, and there's some things that well, first off, most people don't go pro.
Right.
So now what? And I mean, those are always tough to deal with. Do you think that your background in accounting and finance has paid big dividends?
Yeah, I think it has. It's caused me to probably ask eventually what were the right questions. And so I can still remember a funny story when I got drafted here in Kansas City. One of my first conversations was with Denny Thum, who headed up all of the cap stuff and all of that for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he oversaw all the accounting and all that. And so what a lot of people don't know is in the NFL, players get paid over a 17-week period. So you only get paid during the 17 weeks. You don't get paid the other 35, right? And so one of the first things that I asked him after I signed the deal, I said, hey, I want to make a few changes. I want to get paid over my 52 weeks. And so whether it's weekly or every 2 weeks, that's fine. And his response to me was, wow, I'm really glad that you asked that question. I knew I would like you because of your background, but the answer is no, because we don't want you on our
payroll.
On our payroll, because we don't know if you're going to be here. You know? And so that was sort of a welcome to me, like, whoa, wait, I might actually not be here. But
well, and I mean, especially at the time, your contracts weren't guaranteed.
Right.
I mean, the idea, I don't think people actually got any guaranteed money then, didn't they? Wasn't that like?
It was very, very little.
That's the thing that's always blown me away about football is, you know, you're like, so-and-so got this huge contract, but it's not really a contract. In my world, a contract means I'm paying you regardless, like any of that. So
you have a contract as a podcast host.
Yeah, I get paid nothing.
You get to eat my green M&Ms.
I did. You know, honestly, I have probably the worst contract in all of podcasting.
But I thought I gave you a contract for $60 million. You signed it and then you quit.
Yeah, that you told me that's what I needed to do. We were in here you were talking to you and Neil Sharma, who have sold $250 million worth of companies. I was just trying to get some advice. You said that I get promoted, sign the big deal, and then I walk out the door.
Yeah, you got on top.
It was a really bad advice, by the way. Really bad advice. So
all right.
That was right. That was right after you told me about how you agreed to sell your company to a billionaire, hugged him, and then sold it to someone else.
Yeah, I did.
So yeah, I kind of quit.
Hugging does
true
not.
Story.
Yeah.
Hugging
on a deal doesn't mean anything.
Well, we're not sure if that is across all 50 states. There might be some states.
Oh,
we don't know.
Could have been legal.
Okay, so I want to get back to ag tech and bioscience and some of that stuff. So when your fund is looking at these solutions, I understand that you've got like food production, safety, and waste, and those are pretty general.
Right.
What are the things, like as far as agricultural technology, and this is big, because think about it. If we can't grow food, we have a lot of challenges. The population's increasing, the climate is changing, like we're running out of certain types of fuels or ability to do certain things. The way food's the drone's gonna come drop off your food, maybe, or whatever. So like, I know we talked about some of them, but what do you, not necessarily the fund, but Kevin Lockett, like what do you really think that the key to some of this stuff is? Like what do you want to see fixed, produced, improved, like?
Yeah, so a big one for me is the food safety side. You know, I think we are sort of living in a world where we're making food much more complex, right? So you think of a burger 5 years ago, and it was, you know, one input. It was a cow, and now you look at Beyond Meat, and there's, you know, you name the inputs. You know, it's 20 plus, and so our food is getting much and much more complex. So for me,
so back that up. So we're talking about the burger, and it's not the burger. It's not meat.
Well, no. So there's now plant-based burgers. There's now cellular-based burgers. I mean, people are changing the way we make food now, and it's all under the same heading.
It's not really food.
Yeah, right. Well, it is if you eat it.
I guess that's true.
Will the ants eat it?
Maybe.
Probably not.
Do they not eat that?
They won't eat a lot of food we drop on the floor, dude.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well, don't freak me out too much.
The plant-based burger is taking off. So Beyond Meat just went public, I think, a few months ago.
But some of that is okay, that's good stuff in some ways. I mean, I don't know why it would be bad. I mean, maybe, I don't know. It depends who you ask.
Yeah.
What are we trying to accomplish? And are we causing a different problem by trying to fix one?
I think there are tons of unintended consequences that are coming to the forefront now that we are getting more complex with our food. And so that's
trying to talk to Kansas Cityans about what to do with meat is a tough audience. I mean, barbecue.
Well, you know, one of our biggest problems with climate change, right?
Tell me.
Is cow farts.
That's actually true. I was going to bring that up. I wasn't sure if we were going to solve the methane issue.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's something. Okay.
So we need technology for that.
So when
it's funny that you say that. There is a Kansas City company that is working on that. They're
Perfect.
very, very early.
Hey. Oh my God. So food safety. Now, you're talking about like, all right. So you're into that, and it's largely related. You know, when you start changing the genome of things, I know that's something you're looking at.
Yep.
Okay, what did we learn from I Am Legend? They changed the genome to cure cancer and turn everyone into zombies.
Right.
Now, granted, I know that's a fictional movie, but at the same time, though, these are like the weird things that can occur. Like some of it with ag tech, like you have companies like Monsanto that have reduced the seeds, like the number of seeds. So like theoretically, in some ways, like different kinds of disease and crop decay and stuff like that. Well, if that gets into something, that could be really catastrophic.
Wipes out all the crop.
Is that food safety?
Yeah, that's part of food safety as well. So right now there's a big push for, a lot of the fertilizer being used on all our food is all chemically based.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so there's a big push right now for biofertilizers, so fertilizers that are made from sort of natural products, if you will, so from microbes and from other things like that. And so there's a big push there. There's a big push on the animal side or food producing animal side of limiting or eliminating the use of antibiotics. So we look at a lot of technologies that start to get rid of antibiotics so that it's no more pumping antibiotics into the food just for growth.
Now, hold on a second. I prefer to eat weed that has been thoroughly soaked.
Did you say weed?
Yeah. Wheat. I prefer to eat
I wanted
wheat.
to clarify because
Yeah, yeah.
I think you said weed.
Wheat. I
and
prefer.
Dude, wait, but let me back up. Why are you eating? You're soaking your weed and then eating it? I didn't even know you were into that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not judging.
I make oil out of it later or whatever.
I mean, sure. It's
Okay.
just okay.
I prefer to eat my wheat that has been thoroughly soaked in weed killer while also eating Franken chickens that are like 3 times larger than a normal chicken.
Yeah, well, you are one of 1 million that are.
That
in
is
our
what I
population
prefer.
right now.
I mean, actually, that's like 90% of the shit we eat right now is that.
Well, but if you look at the population today, what are people doing, right? They're looking for more transparency from the ag space. They want to know what's in their food. They want to know how it's being grown. They want to know from an animal perspective how are those animals being treated, if you will, as they're being grown and before they've been
That's a
butchered
slippery
off.
slope too. And in most states, it's against the law to take pictures or video of animal processing and different kinds of plants because they don't want you to see it. And some of that, but that's a hot topic. And another thing too is like, we just got to produce these things on a mass level. So how to do that, sir? Did you have something to say?
I was going to say I was in Cebu for my birthday 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Were you eating weed there as well?
No, I was not eating weed. I
You
wasn't
can get
smoking
shot,
it
you
either.
can get shot for that.
Probably,
You
yeah.
want to be careful.
But we had a live chicken, and for my birthday, they slaughtered a live chicken, and we ate it.
Wow.
It was delicious. I wish I was there when they slaughtered it, because I've never actually seen a
Oh my
chicken
God.
slaughtered before.
But to your point about.
But we are so divorced about where our food comes from.
Absolutely.
Americans have no
we have
idea.
no
where our food
my
comes
wife doesn't even want to talk about it. I'd be like, "Where does hamburgers come from?" She'll say the store. I'm like, you realize that's like.
But that's a big part of our problem is we have no idea where our food even comes from.
Right. That's absolutely true.
I saw that chicken, and his name was Chooks. I gave him a name.
What, dude?
And then I ate Chooks.
Oh wow, Kevin, welcome to Startup Hustle. It's not always like this.
I
but
had
it
chicken for
kinda
lunch
usually
today,
is.
and I'm pretty sure it was from a chicken that somebody slaughtered.
Maybe, but okay. But I think some of the stuff that Kevin's getting into though with food safety and whatever is like. So when you're talking about introducing a whole bunch of different things, so you have 25 different things that went into a burger. The problem is if you now have to track 25 things that you have to keep safe, or do stuff to, or that could introduce all different kinds of stuff.
Different
Now,
suppliers could have
I'm
problems.
going to actually, so when the NFL has gone and played games in Mexico, they've actually had a problem with the players going down there and eating the beef in Mexico.
Oh.
It's so loaded up.
Drinking the water.
No, it's so loaded up with growth hormones and steroids. They fail a drug test when they come back. I'm correct, right?
That's correct.
Okay, look, that's kind of fucked up. I mean, for real, it really is. Like, think about it. Like, through eating meat, that's tainted. Am I right?
That's right.
And here's another thing too. So I grew up. I was a big kid early, and Kevin, you're a bigger gentleman as well. There are big people everywhere now. Like, I used to be like the biggest person or tallest everywhere I go, and now I feel like at 6'3", 6'4", I'm just like an average height guy. And I mean, some of that is because we are eating all these things as a different process. So, okay. Well, food safety, Matt, I feel like we're going to have to invent another mixtape. Have you ever played Mixtape the Game, Kevin?
I have not.
Okay, so mixtapethegame.com. See what we got here. Ooh, this is a good one. So I'm going to read a scenario, and we're going to all choose a song that we feel is appropriate for that, and then we will vote on whose song is best. Okay? You cannot vote for yourself. All right, theme music. This is your theme music, and it plays every time you walk in public.
Oh, I got this one.
Do you?
Yeah.
I'm terrible with songs.
That's okay. Well, I'll vote for you anyway because I don't want to vote for Matt. So you got a pretty good shot here, Kevin. What do you got?
I'm going to go with Jay-Z's Hard Knock Life. Or Coolio's Gangster Paradise.
That should be my
one of those
theme
two.
music.
By the way, that's the first one. That's the fastest you've ever come up with a mixtape answer, and then you gave two.
Yeah.
You gave two.
I'm going to go with Gangster's Paradise, I think. That's
Hard
better.
Knock Life's a good one, though.
Okay, we'll go with that one then.
I'm going to go with, let me see, every time I walk in public. I feel like I'm going with Staying Alive. Yeah. I mean, and I'm doing the strut, all of it.
Okay.
Bell bottoms, whole 9 yards.
No deal.
All right, I got Hard Knock Life. What do you got?
So I don't have a song. How about I use an album title?
You know what? I'm going to allow that.
You gonna allow that?
Yeah, I'm
That
as the
pass?
new mixtape commissioner. And by the way, I've been really hassling Matt because several times he has just answered Limp Bizkit. I'm like, dude, that's a band.
That's a legit
like,
answer.
But
Yeah.
I'll give you. I will allow
You will allow
because
that?
he's gonna go with the album title.
Okay.
I'm gonna stay with you, and I'm gonna go with Jay-Z's The Blueprint.
Ooh, I like that. Matt, I hate voting for you, but you were so reactive. Now,
Yeah.
maybe I'll let you guys vote first.
I think I'm gonna go with Matt.
All right, I
I
won.
like Matt's.
Whoop, 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 whoop. I won. I was voting for you, though.
Well, then I'm not going to vote for you.
You just gave it away, Matt.
Yeah,
I already won.
I'm going to vote for you because I feel like. Have you shot the gold money gun yet?
No.
Why don't you let Kevin shoot it?
All right, sure. He can shoot it at me.
Here, Kevin, you can hang on. We'll get it on video.
This is your game day
Those
check.
are the reward. We want you to feel what it's like. All right,
The
you
game
can.
day check?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is maybe. You can go ahead.
And you shoot it
fire.
where?
You can fire
Fire
it wherever
anywhere?
you want.
All the money, I like it. All we got is ones?
Ah, good. And I like this guy, man. That is what I'm talking about.
What's up with that?
So, yeah, he's lived the life, dude. That's like I said, the blueprint. He deserved to win. Kevin, I'm giving my vote
He's
back
not
to
even
you.
gonna. He's not even gonna
I'm
shoot it all
giving
out.
my
He's like,
vote
whatever. They're just
back
ones.
to you. You
It's the
won.
same
Just
guy
one.
hugging billionaire selling this
man,
company to
look at
whoever
that.
he wants,
Ones.
and we got one?
I
just
know.
ones.
Look at that. There's not. Oh man.
They don't come out of here
You
very
know
well.
what? This is terrible.
Oh, there's a two.
There you go. And
Yeah,
there's-
you get a 2. Come on, greedy guy.
All right.
You get 2.
Dude, Kevin clearly does have the blueprint because he called that out. Hey, Kevin, these are all hundreds, man. Not true. Okay, so anyway, if you want to have Kevin potentially fire the money gun at your business, you can go to fgcvc.com. I have a feeling that's not how you normally fund people, though. Am I right?
No, it's not. I mean,
No.
With ones or with a money gun.
with both. That's correct.
Oh my God.
No, as you guys know,
That was
it's-
really the best answer or response anyone has
That's
ever
a-
given.
that
to
was a first.
Yeah. Thank you for providing us with that, Kevin. Speaking of safety and tech, we need to cleanse those ones, Matt. Why?
These ones are worth more than normal ones
Why?
because they don't have glitter on them.
Oh God, get out of here.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right, Kevin. As you can see, we're keeping it super professional here today. All right, so once again, if you guys want to check out what Fulcrum Global Capital does, you can go to fgcvc.com. There are so. Do you guys have any plans or anything in the future to participate in any accelerators or anything like that? Like, how do we go about? So, if I'm an ag tech company, founder, inventor, anyone like that, I mean, like, is it best to just look you guys up online and submit? Are you participating with anyone else?
I mean, it's a number of different ways. I mean, we don't do a deal unless there's other venture folks that are in it. So
Okay.
We've done deals with other well-known venture firms. We've done deals with strategics like Bayer, Monsanto,
Sure.
ADM, and others.
Sorry to call you out earlier, Monsanto.
So we do, we do syndicate, but also there are a ton of accelerators that are now popping up, primarily in the U.S., but really all over the world, that are all ag-related.
Sure.
And so some of them are on the coast, some are in the Midwest.
Do we not have one in Kansas City?
Well, we talked about that. So Full Scale, the company Matt and I own together, if you guys want to check it out, fullscale.io, we're the official development partner of Launch KC.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing clean tech, fintech, and med tech.
Yep.
And so that's 15 companies, and we're giving all of them 10 grand. So on top of that, they had talked about some other stuff, but obviously here in the Midwest, ag tech makes sense.
Yeah,
so.
how do we not have that? You guys
Well,
should partner with
them.
them.
They're working on it. They're
Yeah,
talking
okay.
about it. I don't know if they're talking to Fulcrum about it.
Yeah, you guys should talk to them about that, because that's a feeder system for you.
So there's not a lot that I can say, but let's say within
Oh.
within 12 months there will be one here.
All right,
I like
perfect.
it. I like it. I
Good
like to
answer.
hear about that. And we'd like to hear more about that on the way to you being able to say something about it. Because like I said, Matt and I and Full Scale, we like to get involved in these things.
Yeah, we can help.
I like getting in on things on the early level. So then the next part about the kind of partners and investments you're seeking to make, is there a particular stage of the business that you require? I mean, you guys Series A, early stage?
We're Series A, but I mean, you ask 25 people what Series A means, and you get 25 different answers nowadays.
Yeah,
but,
true.
I mean, really, what we're looking for are technologies that have been proven at some level in the market, and they don't have to have the sort of mass adoption, if you will. But we're really looking for game-changing technologies, ones that just completely shift the way things are being done today. Some level of adoption, and a big part based on the level that where we're investing is really based on the team. I mean, we're really betting on the jockey is really what it is in a lot of these situations. And so we're really looking for very, very strong management teams, at least at the early stage, to go along with that technology.
And once again, to recap, you guys are not bound by any geographic levels or anything like that, whether you're in Kansas City, whether you're somewhere else. I mean, I think Kevin and his team are looking forward to talking to you. Matt, you got any closing comments about ag tech?
No, I think this is really cool.
I'm not offering to do this personally, but I really do need you to quit soaking your weed.
I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we're
Is
gonna
that messing it up so you can't smoke it?
Well, I don't know, man. I felt like
Or does that make it better?
Ever since we did the episode about cannabis startups, it was first off, you were surprisingly engaged on that. I was shocking. I was expecting
I knew
you
nothing.
I know, but I was expecting you to maybe fall asleep or something.
I still walk by those CBD hemp places, and I look in the window for about 5 seconds. I'm like, nope, and I don't walk in.
Well, didn't we determine you can rub CBD on about anything and it fixes it?
Yes.
So yeah.
Should we rub it on the money gun?
No, no.
Not unless it's going to change it from 1 to 100.
All right. So anyway, Kevin, I want to thank you for coming in. This has been interesting to chat about. One more time, if you want to check us out, go to Instagram at Startup Hustle Podcast. If you're listening, reach down and hit that 5th star. Give us a nice review. We'll probably talk about that. And by the way, I do have to call someone out. We had a couple people that said some nice and supportive things about us on the gram recently. Now, who knows? The Buff Engineer. I don't know if he's just ripped or if he's a Colorado fan. One's better than the other. And then we had another, where are you? Wanted to give a shout out to the Cash Labs, doing a bootstrap startup that is helping people do their in-home testing. So thanks for the support, guys. We really appreciate it. Kevin, once again, thank you for everything you've done for Kansas City. Thank you for being involved with this fun, and looking forward to hear more about the stuff you guys do in the future.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
See you next time with $100 bills.